Today, I want to talk about how to overcome your fear of stuttering. Most people think the fix is simple: get more fluent and the fear disappears on its own. Stutter less, worry less. That's basically the whole plan most of us have been running for years. But sometimes that can make your fears even worse. Luckily, there are other ways to do this. You could wake up tomorrow with the exact same stutter you have right now, but if you were no longer terrified of the people hearing it, your entire life could already look different. Because here's the thing, the fear and the stutter are not the same problem. And you can start solving the fear today without waiting for your speech to change first. In this video, I'm going to show you the real reason the fear sticks around way longer than it should, and then walk you through the exact 3-part process I personally use to resolve these fears so that you can start living again, starting today. By the way, I'm Kyle. I've stuttered for more than 20 years, and for the past few weeks, I've been actively doing anything I can to beat my stutter. And this stuff is all I do all day long. Alright, let's dive in. Here's the thing almost nobody says out loud. You're not actually afraid of stuttering. You're afraid of what you believe might happen when you stutter in front of somebody. Think about it. You don't feel anything when you stutter alone in your car, talking to yourself. There's no fear there. The stutter may be identical. Same blocks, same repetitions, same everything. The only thing that changed is that nobody's watching. So the fear was never really about the stutter itself. It's about exposure. It's the moment someone hears it and you imagine what they're now thinking about you. That you're less capable, that something's wrong with you, that people look differently at you from now on. But underneath all those fears is the same basic problem. You've learned that stuttering in front of another person is something dangerous. That distinction matters more than it sounds like it should, because it changes what you're actually supposed to work on. You don't need to hide the stutter better. You need to stop being afraid of it being seen. And once I understood that, the whole plan changed. So here's the 3-part process I built around it. Step 1. Kill the shame. The first thing I personally do, and the thing that made the biggest difference for me, is spend a period of time radically coming out about my stutter. Not just accepting it quietly in your own head, actually telling people. For 30 days I would tell people I stutter, even in situations where I technically didn't need to. Something as simple as, just so you know, I have a stutter, so sometimes I need a little more time to get my words out. If saying that out loud to another person feels like too much right now, that's fine. I personally still carry a small card that explains I stutter and might need more time. Some people start there. Later, as it gets easier, they start saying it themselves. Here's the actual mechanism behind why this works. Every time you desperately try to hide your stutter, you're teaching your own brain a lesson. This is something people aren't allowed to see. You're reinforcing over and over that it's shameful, that it needs to stay hidden or something bad will happen. And hiding it doesn't only mean never telling anybody that you stutter. Think about all the tiny things you might do throughout the day to stop somebody from finding out. Letting somebody else order for you. Avoiding saying your name. Not picking up your phone. Rewriting an entire sentence in your head just to avoid a difficult word. Those little escapes feel amazing for about 5 seconds because the danger is gone. But that's exactly the problem. Your brain can interpret that relief as, thank God we avoided that. That would have been dangerous. And now the next time that situation comes around, you're even more convinced that you need to escape again. But every time you openly acknowledge it, you're practicing the opposite lesson. Right now, I stutter. People are allowed to know. People are allowed to hear it, and I'm working on it. To be clear, the goal here isn't to make stuttering your entire identity. You're not doing this so that it becomes the main thing people know about you. You're doing it so that you can stop spending your energy on hiding something that doesn't need to be hidden. And from my own experience, the more openly you show something, the harder it becomes to stay deeply ashamed of people discovering it. Shame needs secrecy to survive. Take away the secrecy and it starts to starve. I noticed this myself pretty recently. I had to record a video for a job opportunity, and in the beginning of the video I just told them straight up, I have a stutter and nervousness can make it more noticeable. Just so you know beforehand. That one sentence did more for my nerves than any breathing exercise could have. Not because it fixed my speech. It didn't, but because I wasn't spending half my energy trying to hide something anymore. All of that energy went back into just talking. That's step 1. But disclosure alone doesn't put you back into the room. That takes a second step. Step 2. Desensitize the fear. There are specific speaking situations that can send your fear from a 0 to 10 almost instantly. Ordering at a restaurant, saying your own name, a presentation, a job interview, speaking up at a meeting, a phone call, or talking to a stranger. Here's what's actually happening underneath that. Through years of fear and avoidance, your brain starts treating these completely normal situations like real threats, and it builds a loop. Speaking situation, fear, you avoid it, instant relief, and the situation becomes even scarier the next time around. I want to reverse that loop through repeated exposure, but I don't think you need to throw yourself straight into the hardest version of it. Let's use ordering at a restaurant as the example. There was a stretch of my life where I had zero nerves about ordering at a restaurant with a stutter. None. I did it every single week, so it just became normal. A couple of years ago, I stopped going as often, and the fear didn't stay the same. It grew massively just from avoidance alone. So if you're in that same spot right now, terrified of ordering with your family, here's how I would build back into it. Level 1. Tell your family beforehand. Guys, this is something I'm really afraid of. I want to order myself tonight. If I completely get stuck, can you jump in? You show the waiter your card. You can even have the order typed out on your phone as a backup. Then you order. Maybe it goes badly, maybe you stutter way more than you wanted to. Maybe the waiter looks confused for a second. Maybe it feels horrible in the moment. But here's what I want you to discover. Not necessarily that nothing bad will ever happen, because I can't promise you that. Somebody might react strangely one day. You might have a massive block. What I want you to learn is, even if I stutter, I can still handle what happens next. You stayed, you ordered, you let somebody hear your stutter, and whatever happened afterwards, you survived it. Level 2, your family still knows, but you don't show the card. Level 3, your family doesn't know and you don't show the card whenever you are ready for that. The principle underneath all 3 levels is the same. Make the challenge small enough that you're actually willing to walk into it. You can even add more levels to it, and then gradually pull the safety net away. And notice, the safety net isn't cheating. Level 1 with the phone backup still counts as facing it. You are not supposed to skip straight to level 3 and call anything less than that a failure. I used this same idea during a challenge video I filmed in Amsterdam, where I put myself through a full day of speaking situations back to back. Before some of them, I disclosed first. And every single time disclosing beforehand massively reduced the pressure I felt walking in. It even reduced the stutter massively because it made that moment feel survivable before it even started, which is really the whole point. And I need to be really clear about something here. The goal of this step is not to stutter less immediately. The goal is to become less afraid of stuttering. If your speech happens to improve along the way too, genuinely, I believe it can, that's a bonus. But it's not the promise of this step, and it's not what you should be measuring. Now this next part is really important, because here's where most people quietly sabotage themselves without realizing it, right after the exposure happens. Step 3. Change what you remember. I don't want exposure to just become, I did it, I stuttered 3 times, therefore it was horrible. Because that's exactly what most people who stutter do to themselves without noticing. We tend to be brutally harsh on ourselves after a hard speaking moment. You could do almost everything right and still walk away only remembering the parts that felt bad. So after any exposure, I want you to sit down and actually ask yourself a few questions. And here's probably the most important rule of this entire step. Don't grade the exposure based on how fluent you were. Grade it based on whether you did what fear normally stops you from doing. What went well? What did I do that I would have avoided before? What can I take with me into the next attempt? Was the outcome actually as catastrophic as I predicted beforehand? And if something uncomfortable did happen, was I still able to handle it? Here's an example. Say you stuttered badly while ordering food. The automatic response is, that was awful. But look at it objectively for a second. You walked into the restaurant. You felt like you were going to pass out or have a heart attack, but you still ordered the thing you actually wanted. The waiter understood you, no matter how long it took. Maybe nobody cared, or maybe somebody did react in a way you didn't like. But you survived the discomfort. And, this is the most important part, you didn't run away. That's evidence, real evidence, not a feeling. Most people skip this step completely. They do the hard thing, they feel bad about how it went, and they move on without ever correcting the record. So instead of allowing the worst 3 seconds of the interaction to become your entire memory of what happened, actually look at the full experience. This connects everything together in one loop. Disclosure, then exposure, then evidence, then repeat. And every time you go through that loop, you're not just collecting one good memory. You're slowly rebuilding proof that the thing you were afraid of isn't actually as dangerous as your brain has been telling you it is. Or, just as importantly, that even when something uncomfortable does happen, you're capable of handling it. But there's another hidden step that I purposefully did not review at the beginning of this video that makes letting the fear go even more doable. So, step 4 is to improve your speech simultaneously. I know that over the internet there are so many mixed opinions about whether or not you can reach full fluency or even improve a little bit. Here's where I stand on it. Plainly, I believe you can get more fluent. I even believe that you can fully overcome your stutter. That's the whole goal of this channel. Not overnight and not by accident, but I've seen it happen. I'm not going to sit here and promise you it's guaranteed or that it looks the same for everyone. But it's impossible is not a fact. It's just the story that gets repeated the most. Here's the part that actually matters for this whole video though. Working on the fear doesn't mean you're giving up on improving your speech. I actually think it's really important to see these as two different things you can work on at the same time. Every time you disclose instead of hide, you take the pressure off yourself in the exact moment your speech tends to tighten up the most. Every time you expose yourself to a situation instead of avoiding it, you're giving your speech more real world reps. And every time you collect evidence instead of spiraling afterwards, you're working on the psychological side of speaking instead of only judging yourself by fluency. And for me personally, reducing that pressure and fear can make speaking feel much easier. Now, on top of that, I do think it's worth pairing this with actual deliberate speech work. Learning how your speech mechanism works, practicing specific techniques, working with the right resources or people who actually understand stuttering. Because overcoming a stutter takes a lot of energy. It takes consistency. It takes doing things you really don't want to do sometimes. And one of the hardest parts about stuttering is that it can feel incredibly lonely. Like nobody around you truly understands what you're going through. So I want to create a place for people who stutter and genuinely want to work on this and improve it together. Where we can work on our speech, face these fears and challenges together, keep each other accountable, share what's actually working and have people around us who genuinely understand what it's like. I'm still building it right now, but if that sounds like something you would want to be a part of, you can sign up for the early access throughout the link below. And I'll keep you updated as I get closer to opening it. But that's a deep topic on its own, and I'll go deeper into it properly in another video. But I didn't want to leave it out here completely, because I don't want you thinking this is a video that says forget fluency, just accept it. That's not what I believe, and that is not what I do myself. What I want you to take from this step is simpler than a technique. Doing the psychological work first doesn't block your fluency from improving. It clears the path for it. You're not choosing between work on the fear and work on the speech. Handle the fear and you'll notice you've already got more room to work with than you thought. If becoming more fluent is your goal too, work on that alongside this. But don't make the mistake of telling yourself that you're only allowed to stop being afraid once you're fluent. Because that's exactly how you can end up putting your life on hold while you're waiting for your speech to become perfect. If there's one thing I want you to take from this video, it's this. Maybe the thing that's been controlling your life isn't only the stutter. Maybe it's the fear of your stutter being seen. And that fear doesn't need years of therapy or a completely different voice to start shrinking. It needs disclosure, so the shame has nowhere left to hide. It needs exposure, so your brain can finally update the outdated warning it's been running. And it needs evidence, so you stop only remembering the worst 3 seconds of an otherwise fine conversation. Disclosure, exposure, evidence, repeat. That's the whole loop. And I know I called this how to easily overcome your fear of stuttering. Maybe easy isn't even the right word, because actually doing this takes courage. Telling people you stutter when you spent years hiding it isn't easy. Walking directly into situations you've avoided for years definitely isn't easy. But the process itself is simple. You don't need some incredibly complicated psychological strategy. Stop hiding, start facing, collect the evidence, and repeat. Simple does not mean comfortable, but at least now you know exactly what to do. Complete fluency might still be somewhere down the road for you, and I do believe that you can get there. But you don't have to wait for that to start living without fear running the show. Pick one small disclosure you can make this week. Pick one situation on your list that you've been avoiding. Do the small version of it, and when you're done, don't ask yourself how fluent was I. Ask yourself, did I do what my fear normally stops me from doing? You don't need to stutter less to start today. You just need to be a little less afraid of it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe when you like this video. I'll see you in the next one.